The movie begins by presenting a character named Philip, a man who makes his living as a puppeteer. Philip is never seen without his puppet, which he safely stores in a leather duffel bag. Driven by an unexplained urge, Philip decides to return to his childhood home in Norfolk. During his train journey, he catches a young boy watching him, which sparks a cascade of memories from his past. Upon his arrival, Philip finds his old, run-down house, marked by the remnants of a devastating fire that took his parents' lives. As he steps inside the house, Philip makes his way to his old room. It is here that he discovers a picture book he had created and illustrated as a child. The book brings to life a character named Possum, a chilling creature depicted as a cross between a human and a spider. In the narrative, Possum lurks in the shadows, preying on unsuspecting wolfen children as they sleep. Overwhelmed by a surge of nostalgia, Philip steps out of the house, retrieves a puppet from his duffel bag that bears a striking resemblance to the terrifying Possum, and throws it into a nearby drum. Philip wakes up the next day, much to his surprise, to find the puppet mysteriously positioned near him. This unexpected event fills him with fear, and his anxiety escalates. Despite his fear, Philip is repeatedly drawn to a locked room in the house, as if an unseen force is pulling him towards it. Their interaction is abruptly interrupted by the sudden appearance of Maurice, a man who blocks Philip's path and stops him from entering the locked room. Philip is disheartened to learn that Maurice is not just a fellow resident of the house, but also his elderly uncle who raised him. Their relationship is far from peaceful, and the ensuing conversation reveals Maurice's tendency to taunt and manipulate Philip. Overcome by the encounter, Philip decides to remove himself from the situation. Holding the puppet tightly, Philip steps outside the house, driven by a strong urge to get rid of the bothersome object. He looks for a vacant spot and carefully places the puppet there, as he has been trying to get rid of it for a long time. However, he is puzzled to find that the puppet has a strange habit of returning to Philip of its own volition, often during the unsettling hours of the night. Following this, Philip comes across a news report that outlines the troubling kidnapping of a young boy named Michael. In an unusual turn of events, Philip's instincts lead him to suspect that the evil possum monster, represented by the puppet, might be involved in this disturbing event. However, the next morning finds Philip waking up only to discover the terrifying possum monster back in his possession. Determined to free himself from its eerie presence, Philip puts the creepy possum puppet back into his bag and leaves it deep in the nearby woods. With a strong determination, he throws the bag, filled with puppets, onto a group of tree branches. As Philip opens the bag's clasp, a strange sound echoes, signifying the beginning of a new day. In this new setting, Philip decides to get rid of the persistent monster once and for all by throwing it into a fast-moving river. With a quick movement, he tosses the creature into the flowing waters and hastily withdraws. Suddenly, a sharp and unbearable pain shoots through his head, causing him to collapse. It becomes clear that the possum monster is unwilling to break its bond with Philip, expressing itself through the painful sensation. Motivated by a combination of desperation and curiosity, Philip gathers the courage to go back and retrieve the monster he had thrown into the river. Much to his dismay, his search is unsuccessful as the river refuses to give up the creature. However, Philip's persistence eventually leads him to find the monster lying in the mud. He recovers it and makes the disturbing choice to hang it on the wall in his room, recognizing its unsettling presence as a grim decoration. Yet, when Philip wakes up the next day, he finds the possum monster lying on his bed, its eyes staring at him. Maurice continues his verbal attack on Philip, showering him with harsh words that trigger profound reflections on the seeming insignificance of his childhood. This introspection prompts Philip to consider entering the same locked room, but he hesitates to act on that impulse, his determination wavering. Rather than staying indoors, Philip chooses to step outside the house once more, bringing the mysterious puppet with him. During his wanderings, he stumbles upon a location that brings back memories of his beloved childhood hideaway. This discovery sparks a wave of reminiscences, filling Philip's mind with nostalgic moments. Within the boundaries of this vacant area, Philip takes out the monster puppet from his bag and looks at it closely, longing for any indication of life or reaction. Unfortunately, the puppet remains completely motionless, leaving Philip puzzled and wondering if it has even a trace of life. Overwhelmed by rage, Philip ruthlessly beats the puppet, delivering harsh hits until it breaks under his unyielding attack. Holding the shattered pieces, he puts the puppet back into his bag and throws it forcefully into a nearby stream, its fall assisted by the weight of rocks. Philip's intention is unmistakable. He wants to make sure that the puppet never comes back to haunt him. Upon his return home, Philip's mood sinks as he encounters a deeply upsetting news story in a newspaper. The very boy he had noticed on the train had been kidnapped, a fact that Philip was unaware of at the time. A chilling realization hits him. This abducted child was the same one he had met and felt a bond with. As Philip wrestles with the burden of this upsetting discovery, he finds himself tormented by the eerie echo of Maurice's voice in his mind. Maurice's cryptic words hint at the possum monster, deepening Philip's fascination and stroking his quest for answers. Motivated by a strong blend of curiosity and a pressing need for comprehension, Philip embarks on a mission to find Maurice. However, his search leads him to Maurice engrossed in a childhood picture book, seemingly oblivious to the seriousness of the situation. Frustration and desperation intertwine within Philip, prompting him to snatch the book from Maurice's hands in a quick movement. This impetuous act triggers Maurice to revert to his manipulative behavior, quickly regaining control over Philip's thoughts and actions. Later that same evening, Philip delves into the nostalgic pages of his childhood sketchbook, and to his surprise, he discovers the fascinating origin of the possum monster. Remarkably, Philip realizes that he himself had given birth to this monstrous creature. Through his writings and the vibrant illustrations he crafted, Philip reveals the chilling backstory of the possum monster, a tragic story that unfolded when his family home was tragically engulfed in flames, leading to the heartbreaking loss of his parents. According to Philip's narrative, amidst the chaotic swirls of smoke that billowed from the burning wreckage, the horrifying figure of the possum monster emerged, seemingly born from the very essence of that smoke. As Philip immerses himself further into the story, a spine-tingling truth emerges. The eyes of the possum monster instigate terror and horror in all children who encounter it. This nightmarish being is portrayed as a truly terrifying creature, gifted with remarkable speed and a wicked tendency to prey on defenseless orphaned children. However, it slowly becomes clear that this entire narrative is a product of Philip's disturbed psyche, a creation birthed from the recesses of his imagination, fueled by his deep sadness and internal conflict. The following day dawns, and to Philip's astonishment, the possum monster is nowhere in sight. This unforeseen development fills Philip's day with a fresh sense of happiness and satisfaction. During this time, he comes across a cherished photograph of his dear parents, setting off a storm of emotions within him. However, upon returning to his house later, he is shocked to find the possum monster has reappeared in his room. The mere sight of the beast leaves Philip profoundly confused and bewildered. Confused and unsure, Philip takes the possum monster to the courtyard where Maurice is occupied with a roaring fire. It is at this moment that Maurice mercilessly taunts Philip, making fun of him for the puppet-like nature of the possum monster. Overcome by a wave of emotions, Philip makes a radical choice. He sets the possum monster on fire, watching it consume in the dancing flames. Tears flow down Philip's face, as if symbolically letting go and saying goodbye to some of his deepest secrets and burdens. However, the repercussions are not yet over. Later, Philip finds himself absorbed in watching television when a startling news flash grabs his attention, and a certain Michael is the focus of the report. Shockingly, it is revealed that Michael's friends have given the police a description that matches Philip's own looks. As a result, the police now have suspicions about Philip, viewing him as a possible suspect in Michael's disturbing abduction case. Throughout the day, Philip is constantly on the move, skillfully avoiding the unyielding chase of the police. As darkness falls, Maurice extends an invitation to Philip, asking him to come for a visit. During this meeting, Maurice reveals his impending departure from the house, which will last for several days. The story then transitions to a different day, with Philip venturing into the woods accompanied by the possum monster. He throws a bag onto a group of branches, and as he opens the bag's fastening, the possum monster comes alive, breaking free from its confines. Motivated by a wicked intent to harm Philip, the possum monster steadily advances, prompting Philip to run away in absolute terror. However, the persistent creature continues its chase, refusing to give up. In a dramatic moment, Philip gives in to his intense fear, falling unconscious and collapsing. In the depths of his unconscious state, Philip is tormented by a disturbing dream. Even within this dreamlike realm of sleep, the possum monster continues its unending torment, subjecting Philip to its harsh and evil presence. When Philip comes to, he finds himself back in the familiar surroundings of his own home. The ensuing events play out like scenes from a movie. The setting shifts to the present, with Maurice conspicuously missing from the house. Taking advantage of this temporary absence, Philip seizes the chance to enter the same locked room that holds the eerie memories of his parents' tragic end. Inside, he comes across a broken bed and a disturbing find: a glass bottle filled with human teeth. These mysterious items arouse Philip's curiosity while simultaneously sending a chill down his spine. As Philip carefully inspects these baffling relics, an unforeseen event takes place. Suddenly, a figure masked and cloaked appears from the shadows, launching a surprise assault on Philip. The suspense heightens as the attacker eventually removes the mask, revealing his true identity. It's Maurice, the last person Philip expected. To Philip's utter shock and terror, Maurice begins a series of brutal torments, inflicting physical pain upon him. This distressing scene unveils a deeply unsettling truth. After Philip's parents passed away, Maurice took him under his care. However, instead of offering the expected care and protection in his role, Maurice inflicted Philip with unbearable and unimaginable suffering during his formative years, exposing him to the horrors of physical abuse. The traumatic experiences that Philip went through had a deep impact on his mental health, pushing him into a profound and lasting state of depression. This burden was not only a constant presence in his life, but also stretched back over a significant period of time. The presence of the possum monster served as a continuous and disturbing reminder for Philip, sparking memories of the horrific acts Maurice had committed against him during his formative years. As a result, Philip developed a deep fear of the possum monster, as it symbolized the dark and deeply hidden secret that he alone bore within him. This secret encompassed the unspeakable atrocities Maurice had committed against him, remaining locked away and untold to anyone else. In the midst of Maurice's unending assault on Philip, an unexpected and shocking revelation broke through the chaos. Amid the turmoil, Philip's senses become heightened, and he becomes aware of faint sounds coming from a nearby chest. As he realized what was happening, the horrifying truth unfolded. Maurice had not only subjected Philip to abuse, but had also kidnapped Michael, subjecting him to the same unforgivable actions. Driven by a wave of bravery, Philip summoned the strength to confront Maurice directly. Engaging in a fierce struggle, Philip managed to overpower his tormentor, resorting to a desperate act of self-defense that resulted in Maurice's neck being broken. With Maurice rendered helpless, Philip unlocks the chest, and a petrified Michael springs out from within, darting away in fear and panic. Following these events, the movie draws to a close with a deeply touching final scene. The setting transitions to a courtyard, radiating a palpable sense of sorrow. Here, we see Philip sitting alone in an environment steeped in deep sadness. With significant emotional weight, Philip reaches out and gently touches the face of the possum monster, symbolizing his deep connection to the haunting remnants of his past. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.